the Glazer family has empowered me to lead the charge and find, to bring us back to winning football here in Tampa. A coach that will have a shared vision of winning and bringing the fans what they deserve to this football team. We put out a statement yesterday, so I'll just take questions from that.
Jason, is Dirk Koetter one of those candidates that you're going to take a careful look at, and how seriously could he be the one that comes in and takes over this franchise?
There's a lot of quality football coaches that are going to be available. There's been a lot of interest already just in the last few hours. Dirk Koetter is definitely one of those. He'll be a very strong candidate. He's got a strong resume. I've had a chance to work with him day to day for the last year, and I like Dirk. He's going to be a strong candidate.
What does Dirk mean, though, to not only the organization, but particularly to Jameis Winston? The two struck up a relationship. We saw the success. It would seem important to have those two together.
Yeah, I think any coordinator, quarterback coach, in that role with a quarterback, Jameis, particularly Jameis, a young quarterback, that's an important bond. That's a strong bond that they need to have. That was present, but we'll make the best decision for this football team for the future.
With that decision that you made so quickly after the season, was it hinged on the fact that Dirk Koetter was being inquired about by other teams?
No. The decision was made. It was our ownership, I commend them on the fact that they take their time, they think things through, they don't make emotional decisions, they don't make in-season decisions. They take in all the information. As a general manager, one of my jobs is to give them my analysis weekly, my analysis at the end of the season of the scouting, of the coaching, the strengths, the weaknesses. They take that information and they presented to me what their recommendation was.
Jason, is there any concern in your part?
That you guys need to practice patience. The fans need to practice patience. Lovie only got 2 years. Did the organization practice patience?
I think when you have 8 wins in 2 years, 3 home wins in 2 years, I think they've been patient enough. It does take time, but I think while you're building a good football team, you can compete.
So what do you say to dedicated head coaches, good quality head coaches out there that could be available, about a franchise that has gotten rid of their head coaches every 2 years? The turnover ratio, that type thing. How do you combat that when you go out and you try to recruit these people?
Well, I would tell them that this organization has done everything it can to find the best head coach. They are committed to winning. They are committed to finding the right guy. And right now they're confident that we can find the right guy. And they've placed that confidence in me. I've been around some great organizations. I've been a part of a coaching search in Arizona. It resulted in a pretty good head coach. I've had a lot of experiences with that, with good coaches. And I don't think it's gonna deter a great coach from coming here. It's an excellent situation. I've already just showed from the interest that we've received that people want to come to Tampa and coach.
Jason, how many potential candidates have you spoken to so far?
I haven't talked to any outside candidates yet. We have a plan. That plan will start going into action as soon as I'm done here. So no candidates have been talked to. We haven't requested permission, anything like that.
Jason, can you address how Lovie Smith was informed of his dismissal?
So I had a phone call with ownership last night, and at this point they had gathered all their information and had made a decision, and they wanted to get together with Lovie today in person and inform him that they were going to relieve him of his duties. Shortly thereafter, I received a phone call from Lovie, which is, as a general manager and head coach, especially with our relationship, we call each other quite a bit. And during that phone call, with my respect for Lovie as a friend, I let him know that, ownership was planning on getting together with him tomorrow or today. And I wanted to let him know that I didn't think it was going to go in a very good direction, and let him know what it was. He said that he would like to get he said, you can just have Joel call me. Joel called him. Joel, first thing that he said was, Lovie, I'd like to get together with you today or tomorrow. Lovie asked, or told him I understand what it's about. He said, well, let's just don't talk about that. Let's get together and talk about it. And Lovie gracefully declined the meeting, very polite, the only way Lovie can do it, and said, I would just rather do it this way. So this was after several attempts for ownership, Joel in particular, to fly here, meet with him. But Lovie then came last night and cleaned out his office.
Where is ownership right now? I mean, why aren't they here?
Well, they've empowered me to be right now the face of the football operations, to run the football operations, to lead the charge for the next head coach. They have confidence in me and my group, my personnel people, and so I should be the one talking about this right now.
Was there a lack of faith just on your part in terms of what Lovie could do going down the road? Do you think that he had just basically tapped out and reached his potential and that this Buccaneer team wasn't going to be able to go any further? And was there any mention of him making some defensive staff adjustments that he might not have wanted to make?
All I'll say is a football decision was made that we thought was best for the future of this franchise. I understood the decision after conversations and don't really want to get into detail on those things. But once again, a deep respect for Lovie as a football coach, but we felt this franchise needed a new face, a new coach to get us back to winning.
What is the overriding reason why, Jason?
What does the new coach need to bring that Lovie did not bring? What do you look at? What's that intangible? Is there 1, 2, 3 things?
Lovie had a number of great intangibles. Once again, I don't want to dissect Lovie and what his perceived, the negative things of Lovie that are perceived, that some people think. Every person has strengths and negatives in their and weaknesses in their personality, but we're just focused on the next head coach. We're focused on who is going to be the best head coach. We're not focused on one attribute of a head coach. We're focused on bringing winning back to Tampa Bay.
7 openings in the NFL, Jason, 7 coaching openings. Are you on a strict timetable to be pretty quick, or are you going to take your time with this?
We would like to be fairly quick with this, but we're not going to sacrifice thoroughness for it. So we're going to move as swiftly as we can, but also be relentless with our research and make a smart decision.
Jason, have you had a chance to speak to any players? By the time you want to get this done by the Senior Bowl, you have that kind of a time frame on it?
Don't want to put an exact time frame on it. Ideally, that would be great, but don't want to put an exact time frame on it.
I just spoke to a longtime season ticket holder at a bar, random guy, said, I got tired of waiting, I had to give up my tickets. What do you say to fans like that? Can you get fans like that back with all this going on?
Well, I'll be happy to shake his hand when he comes back to purchase his season tickets when he sees the winning football that's going to come back.
Levante David, do you want a coach who's had experience in the NFL, someone who's had experience as a head football coach, be it in college or the NFL, or are you willing to go the coordinator route and bring in someone who hasn't done it before?
We're going to look at several different candidates from several different backgrounds and make the decision based on our feel for them, what we think they can bring. There's no drawn up certain details of a person that we need. He's been a coordinator for X amount of years or been a head coach. It's going to be the best football coach that we find.
A good candidate at this point. You've referred to him as a strong candidate. What makes him a strong candidate at this point?
He's put a good resume in front of him this year. He had historically the best offense we've had here in Tampa Bay. He's a good communicator. He's done great things with Jameis. There's a lot of good football coaches out there, and Dirk's one of them.
Jason, the new head coach, if he comes in and it's not Dirk, is one of the stipulations going to be that he retain Dirk as OC, or are you going to allow him to pick whatever OC, DC that he wants?
When we zero in on the candidate, whether it's Dirk or whoever it is, we're going to have conversations with him, and we're going to Usually, you let the coach pick his staff. There's not going to be any stipulations on this coach.
Are you in a tug of war for Dirk right now? I mean, it seems like there's 2 or 3 teams out there interested in him as well. Do you think you're in a tug of war for him right now?
I don't know if we're in a tug of war. He deserves the recognition that he's gotten. I'm not surprised that a lot of teams are wanting to talk to him. I don't know if you can classify that as a tug of war, but we're just beginning the process.
In Arizona, that coaching search that you went through, what did you learn most from that process that you think you'll apply here?
That, you know, great coaches come in different shapes and sizes and personalities, and, you know, you look for a guy that's very authentic and honest and can tell you the truth. Not sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that's what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Jason, these things typically happen on Mondays after the season ends. Can you take us through just from the conclusion of the Carolina game up until last night and just how it transpired?
Well, you know, I'm no different than any other GM with their ownership. You know, you get a lot of questions asked. They want your analysis. You prepare it. You're prepared for it towards the end of the year. What you think you need to do better, what you think coaching staff needs to do better, all those things. They collected their thoughts. They collected my thoughts. They made a very thoughtful decision. They didn't want to rush to a decision. And once again, you know, the phone call, the conference that we had yesterday culminated in the decision to relieve him of his duties.
So nothing changed. It wasn't like you were going to bring him back next year at the end of Sunday and then something changed in the last 2 days. It was all a one-long process.
It was a process. Nothing that we do is made instantly and quickly. It's a process. It's several conversations on their part, conversation with me. Thoughts are shared.
Does this coach have the same kind of power that Lovie had? Will he have some of the power over the roster and even the draft that Lovie had, or is that maybe looking at a reduction in power from this guy?
You know, I've never been one that, in this, my philosophy and personnel as a general manager, that, you know, the power thing gets a little bit overblown. Who has what? You know, you work collectively. You can't force feed a coach a player. I do have the power of 53, but that doesn't stop us from going after a certain coach. It's not going to I'm not going to cross names off because of it. My job is to bring the best football coach to this football team. Whether what kind of power they get, what kind of tweaks we have to make, doesn't matter. I want the best football coach. It's not, you want a good working relationship with the coach. It doesn't necessarily mean you are best of friends, but you just want a good solid relationship, and whoever has the power, but together you're going to make decisions.
You had a chance to talk to players or members of the coaching staff, and I know players were saying they found out via Twitter last night. How were people informed, and how quick did this happen?
How quick did the decision happen last night?
Last night, and then getting word out. How did players find out? Did you talk to any members of the coaching staff? Have you talked to them since? What is the sense you get?
Well, it came out last night, obviously pretty late. Not sure exactly what time it was. 10:28. A lot of people were already home in bed. You know, it's been a long season. People are exhausted. This morning I came in and I met individually with each coach and met with staffs, informed them of the decision. I'm still, at this point, going to be reaching out to members of the team. They're going to be coming in, I'm sure, and just want to make it about. Right now, it was about Lovie. At that point, it's not about anybody else. At that point, it's about Lovie.
Jason, has there been requests by other teams to interview Dirk Cutter, and are you obligated to grant permission to other teams to talk with him if he's a candidate here?
Yes, you are obligated. It's a notification that they tell you that they want to interview him as a head coach. And yes, there have been teams that have contacted us. I won't get into detail of what teams, but there have been.
Jason, why do you think this is one of the most, if not the best, coaching vacancy in the National Football League right now?
Well, I'll start with, once again, ownership that is not afraid to spend money. I'll then go into a quarterback, 22-year-old quarterback, who I happen to believe is a franchise quarterback, and that's a very strong asset to have. and that's one that not many teams can say that they have.